For me, as an employee of the organisation I work for, and those of you who are using Lync, you probably already fully understand that technology like this can fundamentally change the way you work, and fundamentally change, from where you work. So work becomes less of somewhere you go and more something you do. And the client, as you probably understand, allows you to see other people inside your organisation and see what their current present status is. So when we kind of talk about presence, for us as an organisation, presence is absolutely king. Nothing inside the Lync stack and the way it integrates into the rest of the Microsoft desktop moves without this idea of presence. The fact you can log into the system, turn on the client, and it tells you what the status of your work colleagues, but also people working for other organisations, because we can federate with external people using Lync and OCS, and also other people using third-party IM systems like Yahoo and AOL and those sorts of things. And it gives you an indicator of who's online. So as an employee, I'll turn Lync on, and then what I'll do is if I need to communicate with someone because I've got a question, my preference would be to use this rather than email. Because email's asynchronous, you send someone an email, they might not respond to you because they've got other stuff to do, whereas of course the status allows it, or gives you an indicator if people want to or are available to interact with you in some way, shape or form. So by default, the status, the colour, if you like, of the individual listed is dependent on what's currently in their calendar and Outlook. So if there's a bit of blocked out time, it'll say busy. If, however, they're doing something in Lync, for example, like in a telephone call or in a meeting of some kind, it will show you here. So you see Paul, it says here, in a conference call, which means he's in a multi-way voice call in Lync. He's probably on one of the kind of usual Friday conf calls where people kind of get on the comp system and work from home on a Friday, which is the kind of typical things that people do. So Richard here is on Do Not Disturb, which means if I try and call him or IM him, it's automatically blocked. He can also change his privacy status to change that to urgent interruptions only, so I can kind of break through the DND piece if I need to get hold of him. But you can see here there's a kind of like gamut of different status messages which give me a pretty clear picture of who's available and who's online. Now the great thing here, of course, is it doesn't give me any geo information. I don't necessarily know where this person is, and frankly I don't really care. I don't care whether they're working in a Microsoft office, they're on a customer site or with a partner. It really doesn't matter. So say for example you then want to interact with your colleague in some way, shape or form. You have a number of options that Lync gives you. So I know Nick says here he's in a meeting, but he did agree to demo with me, so hopefully he's available now. I can just go. So this gives you an indication of how easy it is to get hold of people. Now, of course, I can then choose how I interact with somebody. Now, what most people will do if they want to talk to someone is often they'll just dial a number, probably on a mobile or on a desk phone, and hope that they're on the person on the other end of the line will pick up the call and they will be able to talk to them. This sort of technology, even just IM and presence, fundamentally changes the way people use voice. So no one at Microsoft or at Trinity Group or anybody else who uses Lync just makes a telephone call anymore. What they'll do first of all is they'll IM that person first and say, can I talk to you? And then instigate a telephone call, which means you're guaranteed that the person at the other end is either going to pick the phone up or say, no, call me later. And Paul will talk about this later on, that kind of extends onto mobile devices now as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we kind of go through. But as you can see here, it just changes the way people interact with each other, which is the reason why for us presence is absolutely king, because it gives you a clear picture of whether that person initially is going to be able to have a conversation. So I'll say something like, can I call? And then Nick will say yes or no to whether I can instigate a conversation with him. Now, the great thing about Lync, of course, is that here I have a number of call options. I can call numbers directly, or if I make a Lync call, what Lync will do, all the telephone numbers that Nick has registered in the system that he's available on will all potentially ring at the same time. So we have this idea of multi-endpoint ringing. So if Nick's got his mobile on him, but he's wandered away from his desk, for example, his mobile will ring, and he'll pick up the Lync call on his mobile device. So there's a number of ways of being able to track people down. Of course, if I know he's on a particular device, I can call a particular device directly. The great thing is that Lync really doesn't care because it sees you as an individual, not as a number, to kind of use a kind of parallel to a TV series in the 1960s. So this idea that you're an individual and Lync calls that, and Lync just calls the devices that it knows you're on, and so you have a choice of how you might connect with somebody. So Nick says, yeah, I can talk to him, and then I can instigate a voice call. Now, you can't really see it because it's obviously covered by the lectern, but my corporate telephone is my laptop. I used to obviously use one, but I don't use a desk phone anymore. Because I carry my corporate phone around with me, as long as I'm connected to the internet, and this is the key thing here, as long as your PC is connected to the internet, you can take and receive calls from anybody, anywhere in the world. So if someone dials my 3497 internal extension number, my laptop rings if I'm sat in Starbucks anywhere on the planet. So as long as I'm connected to the internet, it really doesn't care. So that's as an individual, that gives me a huge amount of flexibility about where and how I work. So I'll go home, switch the laptop on, connect to my ADSL modem, and then literally the organisation goes, oh, Tony's available online, people can contact him, which means partners and customers who are using Lync and OCS or other third-party systems can see me, or anyone inside the organisation can see me at the same time. Just gives me that huge amount of flexibility. Now, I can use a desk phone if I have to, because we have a range of desk phones we can do this sorts of stuff with. But in this instance, I've got a little Polycom speakerphone here, a little CX100. And a little comp phone, I can carry this around with me, which means if I kind of drop into a quiet room somewhere, or either in a customer or in a Microsoft office, it means I can take and receive calls really, really easily. So let's see how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a Lync call. I'm going to call Nick on Lync. Nicholas.
Good morning, Tony. How are you?
Good morning, Nicholas. How are you? Can you explain to people where you are at the moment, sir, and what you do for a living, just to give them an indication of how the voice works?
Sure. So I'm in Microsoft's Thames Valley Park office in Reading. I'm sitting in the hot desk area in one of our buildings. I'm on a wireless connection, just using a standard Dell laptop and a £20 USB headset.
Thank you, Nick. So as you can see here, it's just really, really straightforward and easy to get hold of people. I don't care what telephone number he's on or what device he's using. As long as he's online, I can talk to him. And of course, what this means, of course, this is my soft phone. So and the great thing about this as a soft phone is, again, as I mentioned here, and I'll talk about it again, is I don't really care what number he's on. I can just easily contact him. But we can turn things into different kinds of calls as well. So we can escalate this if we wish to, as you can see, into a number of other things. And I'll demonstrate this in a second. So first of all, I can add video. Now, we are unashamedly, I think, at the kind of more commodity end of video. So we're really about video in laptops. So when I fire this video call up, I'll use the webcam in the top of my laptop, and I'm guessing Nick's in a similar position. He'll be using a webcam in his laptop or some kind of USB-connected webcam. And I'll mention it briefly as well. There are a range of other devices. So we integrate very heavily into large, high-def systems, Polycom, Clear One, Life Size, those sorts of guys. But also as well, we have a range of devices made by Polycom, like the CX5000. Anyone seen the round table? Looks like an upturned Star Trek dish with a 360-degree webcam on it. That's for kind of small room-based video conferencing. You can see the panorama. Now, of course, what we normally do is we normally have one sat on the table here, but it's a bit artificial because, of course, it's in the wrong position. It should actually be sat in a chair in the middle of the in the middle of the audience there. So, but I'm just going to show you the video piece here. Also, as well, and this is where I think one of the kind of unsung heroes of Lync is this